really need role models and mentors? By show of hands, how many of you have had mentors? Okay, it's quite a lot. How many of you have individuals that you would describe in your lives as being role models? Show of hands. Now, I want to make it abundantly clear. It's not a direct attack on any of these individuals, but it's true, it's not. But it's a way of thinking beyond the ordinary paradigm that we're accustomed to when thinking about mentors and role models. Now, we have a big issue in society, and I'm going to try to describe it by way of analogy. So I want you all to do is imagine a big wall, very big wall, plain wall. And that wall represents the society that you live in. And on that wall, there are a number of holes. A hole may represent discrimination in the workplace. It may represent crime. It may reflect underattainment in the education system. Can role models, can mentors by themselves fix those holes? As a society, we're accustomed to placing ornaments and pictures on the holes that are quick fixes. They temporarily take the problem out of sight, but they never fix the deficit in the hole. What are the holes? What causes these holes in the wall? My proposition is that it's the soft bigotry of low expectations. And in essence, that's the culture and belief that a group of people are better than others based on their gender, their class, or their ethnicity. Now, the reason why I'm passionate about this topic is because I grew up in a council estate in Hackney. My parents were first-generation migrants to this country. I was the first person in my family to attend university. I went to a former polytechnic called the London Metropolitan. Anyone here attend that university? Guess there's one in the back, not alone. And I've had the fortune to become a barrister at one of the most well-renowned chambers in the country and the world now, because Mrs. Clooney is a member of my chambers. And throughout that process, I experienced the soft bigotry of low expectations. It took the form of, well, Tunde, what university did you go to? Tunde, are you sure you really want to be a barrister? You know, it may be more appropriate if you were a legal secretary, or if you focused on arts or sports. This bigotry isn't direct, it's very soft. How many of you have asked individuals those questions? What university did you go to? How many of you have spoken to someone that works in the same sector as you, but tried to find out what company they work for as a way of validating their competence and how they compare to you? Now, the importance of this is that the Secretary of State for Education, Nicky Morgan, March this year, warned that this soft bigotry was what was holding back poor students, because teachers were writing them off as being low achievers. How many of you had teachers that inspired you in school? How many of you had teachers that demotivated you in school? How many of you just had teachers? And the importance of this is that there have been studies by academics such as Tucker and Priestley that have indicated that if parents and teachers have positive expectations, the students do better. Now, in relation to that expectation, how many of you have read school brochures where schools are promoting how well the students have done in relation to their GCSEs or A levels? By show of hands. But how many of those schools have gone on to tell you that those same students that they've had the fortune of teaching have become prime ministers? Show of hands, anyone? CEOs of FTSE 100 companies. The socialization of low expectations starts at the home, continues in the school, and goes on into the workplace. Now, dealing with the issue of schools, the statistics that you can see demonstrate that there's a discrepancy between those from poorer backgrounds to those that come from backgrounds where there are adequate means. It's reflected in the grades. And the relevance of this is that the process starts when they're young and it continues as they get older. The reason why the last statistic is very important in relation to the type of university that students are attending is that the best universities have a tendency not of producing the best talent, but attracting interest from institutions that regard the universities as being better than the others. That places individuals at a disadvantage. And we can see the numbers. £371,000 more. It then goes on, and there's a causal link to crime. In my day job, I defend individuals accused of very serious criminal offences. And there appears to be a link. Certainly in 2008, 50% of the male population, adult inmates, and 70% of the female population of adult inmates left school or college without any qualifications. The reason for that may be because of the following. By not being in school, they may have more time to be on the streets and being involved in criminal activity. Secondly, by not being at school, they place themselves at a disadvantage in terms of being attractive to the labour market, in terms of the qualifications and skills they have. And by not being at school, research suggests that their type of thinking becomes more short-term, therefore meaning they're more likely to embark in risky activity, i.e. crime. Let's move on to employment. Now, despite the fact that 1 in 10 people from the UK are from a minority background, only 1 in 16 of all senior management positions are held by ethnic minorities, and 1 in 13 in relation to just general management positions. Again, indicative of this soft bigotry permeating each and every sector of our society. The work I do with my organization, Urban Lawyers, is about encouraging individuals from non-traditional backgrounds to pursue a career in law. And one of the biggest issues they have is they don't feel that they belong in the environment. We have created a culture of assimilation or integration. And in reality, there is no assimilation, it's integration, or you get out and you don't fit or progress in the system. And it's something that I experienced myself being a barrister. Individuals will ask me, well, Tunde, what's your story? And they seem quite shocked in the sense that I didn't go to a Russell Group university. I didn't get the best grades. And I do not come from a middle class or upper middle class background. And their question is, has there been a mistake? What are you doing here? And it doesn't actually make sense. And the problem with focusing on and relying on individuals that have appeared to have broken the mold is that it disempowers yourself and it perpetuates a culture of dependency. One which takes the onus away from you as an individual, and your focus becomes outward, looking at initiatives, individuals, and schemes that cannot, in and by themselves, solve a systemic problem. The best analogy, and my legal disclaimer before I use it, is that I'm pro the environment, is I want you to imagine a rainforest, and there are thousands and thousands of trees, and your job is to produce paper. Now, mentors and role models, their role can be akin to assisting you, identifying how to cut the trees. But as leaders, it's our responsibility to climb up the tree and ensure that the right trees are being cut. And that's something that we have to do. The solution for addressing the soft bigotry of low expectations starts on an individual level. The problem that we have as a society is that we don't realize systemic change happens in the following process. Firstly, with the individual. Secondly, at an institutional level. Because as an individual, you impact, you influence the culture in your household, the organizations that you work within. Once that's accomplished, then there can be an impact on a societal level, and hopefully then a global level. But that's what we have to work towards. How many of you are willing to work towards it? I see some tentative hands. Some people are not sure. Now, the reason why I chose this subject, and no other subject, was that I wanted to encourage the audience to think beyond their usual way of thinking. Rather than thinking about championing people, there's nothing wrong with identifying individuals that have been trailblazers. But how about empowering yourselves to ensure that we have a culture and environment where they're no longer needed? Thank you.